I think the decay of the welfare state in the United States and this neoliberal offensive needs to be put in a global context. Thatcher and Reagan weren't just two, twin-headed, Anglo-American beasts. They existed in every country in some form in the advanced industrial world. And America and Britain happened to be just the vanguard of this offensive. So I think that this had to do with a few things. I think a broader economic crisis, a structural crisis in the economy. And I think it had to do with the fact that certain aspects of the welfare state weren't actually sustainable past the very exceptional conditions of the post-war period. You had rising growth, you had, huge new reservoirs of profitability, you had new markets opening up, you had the experience to some extent of even wartime planning, and all these things factored it into a cocktail that yielded us, to some extent, maybe the best living conditions ever experienced by people in Western Europe and the United States, which isn't to downplay how exclusionary in some respects these welfare states were. But we can't quite leap backwards to this perfect utopia to the extent that it was even desirable in a utopia in the first place. But what we can do in the future is build and rebuild the coalitions and the class forces that made it possible. And from this basis, we could think about creating new, more sustainable structures that could yield the same results or even greater results. To some extent, the old Marxist critique of the welfare state, this idea that to some extent these reformers were just Sisyphus rolling the boulder up the mountain only to have it fall down periodically and have to start all again. Like maybe that's a cycle that we just experienced, and we should think about ways to structurally empower the working class and also expropriate the people that would push back against these changes.